What is up? So crypto stocks, what the heck is going on with them? It's like this tug of war that is playing around. One week it goes up, one day it goes down, and it keeps shooting back up, keeps shooting back up. It's just this back and forth. Well, that is a complete normal market reaction amongst stocks and crypto as well with what's been going on. We know we're in pretty much a recession. Things are inflating like crazy. Things are getting more expensive. And when this tug of war happens, is how the market is reacting to it. In all honesty, if everyone that's investing said, we're not going to pay any of this recession stuff any mind, and they left all their money in there, the market would not have been impacted. It's crazy, right? How the correlation has nothing to do with what it is, but people perceptions of companies and investment tend to go alongside how well they're doing actually in real life, not counting how it is in the market, because these companies can leverage a lot of their market caps that people are holding, like actual companies are holding. Because remember that companies are more inclined to favor to their shareholders than their actual employees. So they want to try to cater to them as much as possible. And that's what shareholders do. If the company is poorly performing or the market is going through some crazy phase, they'll pull out their money. They don't really need to do that. If you think about it, they don't. And that's why I don't really think about selling during these perfect times. When I say it's perfect, it's because you have much more of a buying opportunity. The market is not going to stay where it is. It's eventually going to come back up. What we're going through right now is called tug of war. And you know how tug of war works, right? So you got a group of 5-6 people on one side and then a group of 5-6 people on the other side, whatever it is. And one side is pulling, the other side is pulling back, the other side is pulling, the other side is pulling back. So we're going through this market tug of war right now. But who's going to win? Is it the Bears or is it the Bulls? We're not sure. But eventually the Bulls always end up winning in the long run. Short term right now, yes, the Bears are crushing it. They're killing it. If you were shorting a lot of stocks, investments, crypto, or you definitely made out. I was speaking to a friend of mine yesterday, and he shorted crypto, Bitcoin, and Ethereum, I think in February. He told me he had a massive gain. He used leverage to actually do that. That's his investment strategy, and he came out on top during the season because he foresaw what was going to happen. That's on him. Me, I didn't sell anything. If anything, I bought more. One, I don't want to get taxed on anything. Last year, I sold some stuff because I did have to do quite a bit of stuff, and my taxes were so complicated. Not because of crypto, but because I have quite a variety of things going on. But this year, I'm not doing that. I'm looking at the long term because your capital gains tax is less if you hold an investment for a year or more. If you do short term, that's when the government kind of punish you. So if you think about it, like if you try to wait for crypto to get down or stocks to get down further and further at that right time, right? And you bought in, but then 6 months has lapsed and there's this massive gain that happened. Now you're going to get hit heavy with some taxes because you sold like within 6 months. But if you bought while right before all that craziness, madness happened, and then a year span went by while that upward motion was happening, you're not going to pay as much capital gains tax on the investments. So that's how I'm looking at it. Everything I bought, I'm holding on to for a year plus. I'm looking at to liquidate next year if we have an upward. I don't quite foresee that happening right now, but we shall see. Pretty much my perception of the market, Bitcoin hit under 20,000 this week at the time I'm recording this video. Ethereum is around the 1050, 1050 mark. I'm average on Ethereum at about 800 a share, and this is back in 2018, right? When things was shooting up, I was buying. I bought around 400, 500, 800, 1200. I average around 800 each share that I own of Ethereum. But if you think about it, right, it shot all the way to like almost 5,000. And I could have sold, but I didn't. Like, because I was already at a capital gains advantage because I had held them for over a year plus. But I didn't sell because what was I going to do with I had enough to do what I had to do. I was doing some work around house renovations and everything. I was looking for real estate deals, however, nothing really poked through, and I just kind of left that alone. So I'm waiting for like the next wave to really climb up. I am not buying anything right now. So I know last month I released a video of saying you got to keep buying. Yes, you do have to keep buying slowly and slowly. But right now I'm just staggering some savings. I'm leaving it as cash. I know it's depreciating a little bit, but the reason I'm doing that because I feel like there's going to be a very bad, bloody Hail Mary day that comes out is going to be so ugly on the crypto side as well as on the stock side because we've seen it in 2020, what happened around March of 2020, right? It was this huge downward. I liquidated actually everything I had around that time because I was still in profit mode. And then I went right back in like probably a few weeks later. I was waiting for that right time. And my indicator for me, it's just a thing that you learn over time about investments. You kind of learn to see where the numbers are. I'm a numbers person. For some reason, I know and understand numbers. I've always had that. That's something that God has blessed me with, the capability. Some friends ask me, where do you know all this stuff? I don't read. I hate reading. I watch YouTube videos and I watch other videos. Like I'm a visual learner and I either have to hear the audio, but reading is not really my thing. If I do, it's probably like something I'm going to glimpse over. So I have some type of like emotional intelligence with numbers. I think I do. But I had sensed that once the Dow actually had hit 18,000 was the right time for me to get in. I felt like that was going to be the bottom of the market. And I was pretty much about right. And once it had hit 18,000, I went back in around 20,000, I would say. I put everything inside of different investments. I bought one of my heavy investments was Fluidigm, which is called Lab now. They renamed, rebranded, and everything. I did not buy crypto. So what happened was I was trying to buy Ethereum at $100 a piece, and I was trying to put 10,000 inside of it, and it was at 108 the night of. And I said, all right, I'm gonna wait a little bit. I didn't put a limit buy. That's what I should have done, but I didn't do that. So next morning, I woke up, I saw it went down to 93 and shot back up to like 105. I was like, damn, I'm going to wait out a little bit. It never made it down. It kept on going to 150, 200, 4, 5, 6. Next thing you know, it's at 4,500, almost 5,000. You don't touch it at that point. I don't have that fear of missing out when it comes to investment. It took me time to build that up. When I started investing, I wasn't doing that. But you got to buy at the opportunity. Always buy in the downward motion, not the upward motion. Reversing that psychologically is not how we're like intuitively trained. Our bodies kind of react when we see an opportunity is going up. That's when it's green. Oh, let's go in. And naturally, that's how we think. But reversing that, training our minds to not think like that and know that the opportunity is actually in the opposite direction will help us receive much greater gains. Like we will never know when the complete thing bottoms out because it's controlled by a lot of human motions. The market pricing go down means a lot of people pull money out the market. It has nothing to do with the company or anything itself. It's just people pull their money out. And that's what it is. And then what makes it go up is people putting their money back in because they have a thing thinking that, oh, the market is going to come up and rebound. So that's why we're going through this like tug of war. Right now, I feel like we're going to have much more of a downward. And that's what I'm waiting for. And that's why I'm stacking up as much as I can. Also, that's kind of my emergency fund for the house. So everything I have in the market right now, I don't touch. I haven't liquidated anything for the past 6 months. If anything, I kept on buying in. The one thing I did buy maybe 3 weeks ago was Litecoin Trust. So Grayscale, they have a lot of mirrored stocks to cryptos. I've been into the company since last year and I've kept on buying in ever since last year. A lot of my retirement is tied in there as well as some of my regular investments. I use Charles Schwab to actually do these purchases. I don't think they're available on all exchanges, definitely not on Robinhood. There are 2 though that are on Robinhood. I think it's Bitcoin Trust and I forgot the other one. But there's 2 from Grayscale. If you search for Grayscale, you'll find it on there. But I did put quite a bit of money because I saw the Litecoin Trust hit 250. What it is its peak price when everything was great was around like 400, I think 400 a share. So if you think about it, that's like 100x plus return on your investment if it gets back to that price. And how long it takes to get there, I don't know. But I also have a large holding in Litecoin itself on the crypto side because that's what I did when I had sold all my Doge, took some money out, and last year, this was last year, and I did some work around house alongside with other earnings from elsewhere. I actually put a lot of the funding that I had sitting there back into Litecoin because it was much more of like the Amazon, I would say, of the crypto. And you can look at Bitcoin the same way too, because they're volatile, but they're not as volatile as some of these other ones. Some of these other ones, they're like negative 93% within the year. That's crazy. If you think about Doge itself, like it peaks 75 cents. That's like, yeah, it's like 90% of its peak price, like it went down, but Bitcoin didn't go through that. It lost 2/3 from 60,000 to 20,000, 2/3. So it's not as aggressive. Litecoin, I think it peaked 400, almost 400. So it's not doing as great as Bitcoin in terms of how bad it went down. However, for some reason, it's an intuition and everything. They do have some form of technology as well. Ethereum is the one that has the biggest technology. Bitcoin is more like the gold of things, but Litecoin, I know there's gonna be something that happens to it. Ripple, I bought many years ago. I also bought before it got pulled out of Coinbase, and I think Robinhood as well because they were going through some FTC issues and such. But I held on to it. I'm looking at the 10, 15, 20 year mark for that. I'm not touching that. There's no need. I don't have as much in there. I probably have maybe 4 or 5,000 worth that I invested in. I don't know how much that's worth now. Probably 1,500. I don't know. I don't check. I'm looking for 10 years down the line when it does skyrocket back up because they do have a lot of things that they're working on behind the scenes. And I like to invest in bad days. Like I really do. When I hear negative news about certain companies, as long as I do my little research and see what they have going on to know that they're not going away completely, I would go in right there and then. I believe in the technology. I'm passionate about it. And I get a sense of exactly that they're going to be around. They're not just going to disappear out the earth. So this tug of war that's happening, that's my thinking about it. That's my feeling about it, that we are going to hit a very bad bloody day. And when that bloody day comes is when I'm going to, the reserve that I'm stashing up right now is when I'm going to go in and I'm going to activate. I'm planning on buying Cardano, that's KDA, more of that. I do plan on buying quite a bit of Litecoin Trust in retirement in my regular Charles Schwab brokerage account, as well as that's it. Because my HSA, I've already maxed out for the year. I can't really, I'm not selling anything. If I do, I don't know. The last two things I bought in there was Netflix and Litecoin Trust. So I just kept those. I'm down on both of those quite a bit. I mean, my general portfolio is down in my HSA as well as my regular portfolio. Like I finally hit the negative like 2 weeks ago, but like, what am I gonna do? I'm gonna sell, panic, hit the trigger, panic, sell, 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 sell. No, you don't need to do that right now. You just take your reserves, continue to stash up, and you can go in right now because you're averaging down. Eventually, it has to get back to that price. Things has to normalize. Like trillions of dollars was pulled out the market. Trillions. That's a lot of market caps that was like pulled out. If you think about it, where is that money going? I don't think real estate is going to be bought right now because interest rates are pretty high. There are cash buyers that may be doing so. But seeing how things are, like there's a property commercial unit not too far from me. I called in, I said, can they do seller financing? And then my realtor told me that they cannot because it's owned by a hedge fund. Hedge funds, there's a lot of people on the deal. You can't really do seller financing. It's possible. They all would have to be on board. It's a very complicated transaction. I don't believe in the word you can't when lawyers can draft up anything they want to, but they're not willing to do that. So we are seeing some liquidation that's happening, especially around me. I'm in the Jersey City area. I do see listings popping up. Like right now, my equity is large. Like it's, I would say in the 60% from the purchase price I bought the house is crazy. And this is only in a matter of like 3 years. It's not realistic. I'm not selling, but I don't see that as a realistic, like normal trajectory, right? Real estate we know grows like 5% a year, but it has all these components to it, right? You get the depreciation value, you get all these deductions that you can do, and plus it brings you cash flow because you're renting out part of the space. If you're having an investment property, right? Some of these are not applicable if you don't have an investment property. So I am looking for deals slowly and slowly. I'm actually even looking at some possible lands. I started watching some different YouTube videos around land purchasing, but I'm a finance type of person. Like I do not like to put a large down payment on things. Like I can afford the monthly payment because I have cash flow, but the large down payment sometimes it's like you're pulling me away from investing in the market. I would rather put in the market and wait for that rebound to happen, and I continue to pay with my cash flow, right? Pay you with my cash flow that I'm getting from the consulting work I do mostly. That's where most of my cash flow is coming in from that. And eventually, once everything rebounds, then my debt is paid off, or a large portion of it is paid off. My investments in the market is coming back up. So then we kind of leverage out. That's how I like to play with debt. I don't like to put large down payment. I would never buy a car or anything like that because I don't, well, buy a car outright is what I mean. Like purchasing the whole thing. Because what it is you're taking that money. It can appreciate much faster if you invest it in the market. So that's how I look at things right now. We are going to hit a very bloody day. Be on the lookout for that. You can still put money in right now. You're not going to miss out. You're not going to lose. Everybody want to time it. My feeling, my gut feeling and suggestion is I'm thinking the Dow might hit like 20,000. NASDAQ is lingering around 11,000. I don't really pay attention to the SP 500 as much. It's really the down to NASDAQ. So I think NASDAQ maybe around the 7,000 mark. I'm going to go in. Regardless if it goes down further than that, I won't care because I know it's going to come back up because it peaked, I think 16,000? I believe something like that. But I know Dow Jones hit like 36,000 and it's right now lingering around the 30,000 mark. So I feel like if it hit 20,000, it's going to be that bloodbath day. Even 22, I might hit the trigger buy button, but I won't miss out. Like you're not going to miss out. If you go in right now and put everything you had and put nothing else in, especially in the tech sector, which has been battered probably the most amongst the industries, you're not going to miss out. Like I'm seeing things I bought in 2020 when that bottom had hit, and I'm seeing them getting close to those numbers. Like I'm paying attention to Square Lab, the company I told you about, VIR. It's another like biotech company. Even Amazon is like lowering down further and further. But TDoc, like all these companies that I was paying attention to, and they're at such lows right now. Like you're getting them at a huge discount, regardless if you buy them now or wait till when that bloody day happens, which we don't know when that will be. That, and again, that's my feeling. It might never happen. Like we might just be flat right now. This might be the bottom, but I'm not missing out because I didn't sell anything. So if it comes back up, great. I'll be back to where I was, which was quite a bit of massive gains, and I'll miss out on the little stash that I'm putting in right now. It's fine because I still have that cash. I could do whatever it is that I want to do with it. I left my assets untouched, so they're going to come back up with the market. Or if it goes further down, then I'll buy more. So when that come up happens, now I have a lot much more. But either way, I'm not missing out. And that's what we have to think about when we are going in, especially during these uncertain times. Because that whole tug of war thing, I'm pulling, you're pulling, I'm pulling, you're pulling, right? Bears and bulls, it's not going to last forever. It's eventually going to go in one direction. And we know the bulls eventually win. It's just the bears right now are having their little fun. They're enjoying a good time, killing the bulls right now, slashing their heads off and everything. But eventually the bulls are going to regrow their thorns and everything and just very kill them all. And there's going to be no more tug of war. They're going to be pulling that rope so far up. And that's what typically happens. The market rebounds so crazy up. We see new highs that we've never experienced before. And this is where that transfer of wealth happens, right? We see that transitioning from one side to another side happen. So if you're not investing in the market right now, it's a good time to put in and do it recurrently. If you don't want to pay attention to what's going on, the news or anything like that, I don't do it that crazy. I mean, I do look at my numbers every day, but I don't do it to the point where I'm making myself mad crazy. That's what you have to do. You could do it on a recurring basis. It's almost like treating it like your savings account, but instead you're buying assets that's going to appreciate over time, and you can leverage that. The other thing too is I had gotten into a car accident. It's not really an accident, huge accident. Somebody had rear-ended me earlier this year, and I've been going back and forth between their insurance company. The person fled the scene, so it took like a month filing the police report, trying to trace his license plates, who he is, the insurance company, all that finagling happened. So finally, to where the point where I'm at now, they gave me an amount, settled in. I try to look into my insurance company to see how much they'll cover, and it's about the same, so it makes no difference. So you know what I'm gonna do? It would cost me less, definitely, if I went with my insurance, have them fix everything, because the only thing you got to pay is the deductible. They cover everything else. Car is fixed. But is the car an asset? You got to ask yourself that. It's not. It's going to depreciate. The minute they fix that thing and I drive off, it's depreciating in value. I don't have one of those limited edition 1 in 1,000 cars or 1 in 1,000,000 cars that they have. If it was 1 in 1,000,000, I'm sure the value wouldn't have been that much. But it's not one of those limited edition cars, so it's going to depreciate. What do you think I should do? I'm going to tell you exactly what I'm going to do, because the other insurance company, they're just giving me that amount cash, right? Non-taxable, because it's not like a money that I'm receiving as income. It's for me to repair a damage on the car. And I'm going to freaking invest it. That's what I'm going to do. And I hope you do the same thing if you ever come into a situation like that with a car, because with where the market is right now, that money that they're going to give me, I can easily 50 exit, 100 exit if I put it into the right investment. I am going to diversify it, but right now I'm banking big on Grayscale, a lot of things in Grayscale. So I think I'm going to partition it amongst Litecoin Trust and then I think Bitcoin Cash Trust. I know it's under $1 right now. So the things that are like the lowest, the market caps are low, that's what I'm going to put it in. And hey, I lose everything. It's all right. It is what it is. One thing I learned about investment is not everything is going to succeed. I had 2 things I bought, I think, that were completely bankrupt and never reappeared at all. And I think that's the Wirecard. I had put a few $100 in Wirecard when it like dropped down quite a bit. So I thought they were going to overcome that, and they didn't quite overcome that. And I also had put into CXDC, I think. It's a China plastic company, whatever. I had gains on that. I never liquidated. I did have gains on that at one point. And I think they got pulled off the market. So they're now on NASDAQ. They're on OTC. But I ain't touching the investment. Right now, the few $100 that I put in there. And when I'm buying things like that are risky, I'm not going to go put 1,000, 5,000. No, it's not like huge. You got to put a proportion that is very tiny that you can gamble and just throw away. For me, that's a few $100. When it did peaked, like my $300 flipped 4 times to like 1,200. I could have sold that time and did what it is, but right now I think it's worth like $15. You know, if I liquidate, I'll get a tax deduction for it. It is what it is. These are the things I want to share with you to know that I'm not a perfect investor as well. We're going to have things that lose some and we have things that gain some. And it's completely fine, and that's how we learn. But majority of my portfolio are things that have businesses going on that have cash flow, right? You got the Netflix, you got the lab that recently got their rebranding happen. There's a company that's injecting like $250 million into them and trying to help their business like really come up. I don't think a company would put that much money into a company unless they believe in what they were doing or something big was coming down the pipeline. So that's why I truly believe in them. And I bought them in 2020. The Grayscale, I'm buying those. Netflix, I have, if I didn't mention that already. T-Doc, Lucid Group, Rivian. Like all these different stocks and stuff or things that I'm going to be pouring more and more money into. Because in the long run, I feel they're the future. There are things that's going to come back up. I have a whole list that I've been accumulating, and I'm learning more and more every day too. But a majority of my portfolio is inside of things that have cash flow building up, and they have a potential for huge growth. Right now, I'm more on the risky side because I'm younger. I have a lot to lose. If I lose everything, I can start over. Remember, wealth does not come from how much you have in your bank account, the actual numbers, but it's what's in here. God has blessed me with so much wisdom over the years. I've learned so much that I think if I lost everything, I'll be able to rebuild it back. I don't know how long it would take at all. That's on his timing, but I'm very blessed to say that he has definitely allowed me to elevate my thinking, provided me with so much wisdom that I'm able to recreate a level of wealth for myself, those around me, family, whatever it is, based upon what's in here. It's not about the numbers inside of your account. So I just wanted to share that with y'all because I think right now some people are fearing things. They're very unsure about the market. There's a whole tug of war going on. Who's going to win? I'm telling you the right now. The Bulls are going to win, definitely. The only way the Bulls are not going to win, the Bears are going to completely win if Armageddon comes. If the whole world ended, God came back on this world. Jesus came with his army and came to lift us up, and the whole world was ending. That's the only way where I see that the Bears will be completely win. At that point, we don't really have a reason to live, right? Because the whole earth is gone. You're either going to hell or heaven, and all the prophecies of the Bible will be fulfilled at that point on. But if we are alive, then you're going to make some nice gains because you took that risk, you took that investment to do it. Full disclosure, I am not a financial advisor. This is just my own personal opinion. This is all for entertainment purposes. I hope this helped you gain some more insights. Please like, share, subscribe if you found this insightful. If you have any thoughts, ideas as well, feel free to bounce it back. I'm open to learning and hearing about the things that everyone else is doing as well, as that's how we build and grow. But let's get it. Let's make it happen. Peace. See y'all next time.